Have you ever shared a deeply personal thought or story, only to wonder afterward, should I have kept that to myself? It's in these moments we realize that not everything needs to be said. As we grow older, especially in the later years of life, we begin to understand that silence can often be a form of wisdom and grace. But why is silence so important? Is holding back a part of your story an act of selfishness? Or is it a quiet expression of love and respect that only those with life experience can truly appreciate? In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful things you should keep to yourself and why choosing discretion can become one of the greatest gifts you give yourself and those you care about. If you're seeking to build a life filled with peace, respect, and love, you won't want to miss this lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can continue to join us in uncovering meaningful and lasting values in life. Let's dive in and discover how the power of silence can transform the way we connect with and show love to our families. Secret 1: the big mistakes of the past. Throughout life, we all stumble, and sometimes our biggest mistakes turn into our greatest lessons. However, sharing those mistakes doesn't always lead to positive outcomes, especially when the listener can't fully grasp the meaning behind them. Take the story of Margaret, a retired educator, as an example. To her family, Margaret was a symbol of wisdom and decisiveness. She had spent her life dedicated to education, building the image of a strong woman who always made the right choices and achieved great success. Yet few knew about a significant mistake she had made during a particularly ambitious phase of her life. As a young professional, Margaret was offered an opportunity most would dream of: the position of principal at a prestigious school. It was the pinnacle of her career, a role she had worked tirelessly to attain. But, fueled by overconfidence and the pressure to prove herself, Margaret quickly implemented sweeping changes to the school's structure without taking the time to listen to the teachers' input or consider the long-term impact. Instead of improving the school, her decisions caused chaos. Teachers resigned, parents lost trust, and the school fell into crisis. Within a year, Margaret was forced to step down, carrying the weight of shame and deep regret. Years later, Margaret kept this story as a private memory. However, when her son began his journey as a leader, she thought it was the right time to share her experience. She wanted him to learn from her mistake, the importance of listening and exercising caution when making significant decisions. So she told him her story, hoping it would inspire and warn him of the dangers of overconfidence. But her son's reaction was not what she expected. Instead of seeing the lesson, he felt disillusioned. The mother he had always admired as an ideal role model, someone he believed never faltered, now appeared vulnerable, marked by a major failure in her past. His expression became distant, and instead of admiration, Margaret sensed a hint of doubt, even disappointment. Like so much else in his life, Margaret turned to narrative to solve the pain. That moment caused Margaret to reflect deeply on the value of the stories we choose to tell. She didn't regret trying to impart a lesson, but she realized that sharing the full story had altered the way her son saw her. In his eyes, she was no longer the infallible figure he once revered, but a mother whose missteps might shake his trust. Margaret understood that stories of failure don't always need to be told in detail to convey their lessons. The strength of a lesson lies in how it's shared. If, instead of recounting the entire episode, she had simply said, "In my career, I learned that listening and caution are the most important factors when making big decisions," her son might have absorbed the wisdom without feeling the pang of disappointment for her. Margaret's mistake wasn't just a professional failure. It was a profound lesson about human nature. Even the best among us are capable of making mistakes, but how we choose to face those mistakes, whether to keep them private or share them, requires thoughtful consideration. This story serves as a reminder not only of the importance of caution, but also of the delicate balance in family relationships. Respect and admiration are not solely built on our achievements, but also on how we inspire and maintain harmony. Holding back parts of a story isn't about hiding the truth. It's about protecting relationships, ensuring that our loved ones see in us the strength, wisdom, and love that shine brighter than the shadows of our past mistakes. Secret 2. Small health concerns. Think about Mr. Martin, a 70-year-old man who still finds joy in his passion for cycling, even though his health isn't quite what it used to be. He cherishes every turn of the wheels on familiar roads, savoring the morning breeze and the friendly greetings of neighbors. Recently, however, he started noticing a mild ache in his knee after longer rides. One evening, while gathered with his family, Mr. Martin casually mentioned his knee pain to his son. Immediately, his son switched into caregiver mode, researching exercises for older adults, suggesting that he cut back on cycling, and even recommending he try an electric bike to ease the strain on his joints. All of these suggestions came from a place of genuine concern. But through his son's eyes, Mr. Martin began to notice something. Instead of being seen as a resilient and independent father, he started to feel viewed as someone frail, someone in need of protection. Every time he brought up his cycling plans, his son would gently advise, "You should take it easy, Dad. Don't push yourself." What seemed like loving words began to feel like a subtle reminder that age was quietly eroding his freedom. That realization prompted Mr. Martin to reflect deeply. He understood that even simple conversations about his health could significantly influence how others saw him. The admiration his son once held for a strong, capable father was beginning to shift toward worry for someone getting weaker. That feeling led him to rethink how much he shared about his minor aches and pains. After that, Mr. Martin chose to keep those small discomforts to himself. When his family asked about his bike rides, he would talk about the refreshing morning air, the joy of brief chats with neighbors, or the freedom he felt cycling down familiar paths. These stories not only made his family smile, but also allowed them to continue seeing him as a vibrant father, full of energy and a love for life. Mr. Martin's story is more than a personal experience. It's a lesson for all of us. You might have dealt with minor aches, sleepless nights, or moments when your body reminded you that age is catching up. And you might feel the urge to share those things with your family for empathy, for connection, or simply to feel cared for. But have you ever stopped to think about how those seemingly small comments might alter how others perceive you? When you share too much about your discomforts, you may unintentionally cause your family to worry more than necessary. Their love and concern are valuable, but they can become a burden when you find yourself wrapped in overprotection. You might feel less like a strong individual and more like someone who needs help. Choosing to keep small concerns to yourself doesn't mean denying reality or ignoring your health. It's about communicating more thoughtfully, so your family continues to see your strength and independence. Instead of saying, "My back hurts when I garden," you might say, "I just planted some new flowers. Can't wait to see them bloom." The difference lies in how you frame your story. By doing this, you not only preserve your family's respect, but also help yourself focus on the positive aspects of life. Those minor aches no longer take center stage, and your relationships aren't overshadowed by unnecessary worry. Your family will continue to see you as someone who inspires them, a person they admire and are proud of. Remember this: for every confliction, there is also a light hosing to others. If we can see the landmarks of the righteous forge, for even the poorest have united forever. Mr. Martin's story is a reminder that silence can sometimes be a profound act of love. When you choose to keep minor discomforts to yourself, you're protecting your relationships from invisible burdens. You're building a legacy of strength and optimism, where your family sees not just a parent or grandparent, but a symbol of resilience and joy. More importantly, you'll find yourself feeling freer, free to enjoy life, free to pursue what you love without being boxed in by the limitations of age. That freedom doesn't just help you live fully. It leaves behind cherished memories for your family, ensuring that they will always see you as someone they love, admire, and hold in the highest regard. Secret 3. Unfulfilled dreams. Who among us doesn't carry dreams in our hearts? Dreams of pursuing a passionate career, exploring faraway lands, or creating something meaningful and lasting. These dreams, while beautiful, often remain quietly tucked away, like chapters in a book we never quite got around to opening. Take the story of Linda, a talented pianist in her youth. In her 20s, Linda dreamed of performing on the grandest stages in the world. Music was the fire that lit up her soul, and she spent countless hours practicing, hoping to one day bask in the spotlight of the stage. But life, as it often does, led her down a different path. She got married, had children, and devoted much of her time to caring for her family. The hours spent practicing piano grew fewer and fewer, replaced by family dinners, bedtime stories, and years of working hard to support her household. Yet that dream never truly disappeared. At 75, over tea with her granddaughter one afternoon, Linda opened up about her dream. She spoke of her passionate younger days, the music that once moved her heart, and the lingering regret of never performing on the stages she had envisioned. Her granddaughter listened intently, but Linda noticed a change in her expression, a shift from admiration to a hint of sadness, even pity. In that moment, Linda realized something profound. Although her story came from a place of honesty, it had altered how her granddaughter saw her. No longer the strong and content grandmother she had always admired, Linda now appeared as a woman burdened by unfulfilled aspirations and deep regrets. Linda spent a lot of time reflecting on this. She came to understand that her unfulfilled dream didn't define her. It was simply a part of her journey. In truth, it was the loving family life, the sacrifices, and the joy found in life's small moments that gave her life its deepest meaning. From then on, Linda chose to keep her unfulfilled dreams as a private treasure. Not because she was ashamed of them or denied their importance, but because she understood that not everyone could view them from the same perspective she did. To her loved ones, she wanted to be seen as someone happy and content, someone who valued the life she had built rather than someone trapped by regret. Linda's story teaches us an important lesson. Unfulfilled dreams aren't failures. They're a natural part of life. They don't need to be shared to be validated, and sometimes keeping them private is a way to maintain harmony in relationships. You might wonder, does keeping quiet about those dreams mean denying them? Absolutely not. Holding on to your dreams allows them to remain a source of inner strength, a place you can return to for inspiration and beauty. However, sharing those dreams without care can inadvertently create regret or burden others, especially your loved ones. By choosing to hold on to those dreams, you're not only preserving your relationships, but also allowing your family to see the strength you possess in the present. Instead of being viewed through the lens of what you didn't achieve, they can see the joy and fulfillment in what you've built. Love, gratitude, and the lasting values you've passed down. The wonderful thing is, keeping those unfulfilled dreams as a private memory doesn't diminish their worth. On the contrary, it allows you to honor them as an important part of your life, not as a source of regret, but as a reminder of the journey you've traveled. That journey, after all, is the legacy you leave behind, not just in words, but in the way you've lived and loved. Secret 4. Personal asset plans. As we enter the later stages of life, organizing personal assets becomes a responsibility many see as a way to care for their family even after they're gone. It's a meaningful act, but also a challenging one, as sharing these plans with family can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. Take the story of Richard, for example. A devoted father, Richard worked tirelessly throughout his career to build a modest estate with the hope of providing financial security for his 2 sons. In retirement, he decided to share his plans for dividing the assets during a family gathering, believing that transparency would help his sons understand his intentions and avoid future conflicts. Initially, his sons reacted positively, thanking their father for his thoughtfulness. However, over time, Richard noticed a subtle but significant change in their behavior. They began offering unsolicited advice on how to invest his assets, suggesting adjustments to the plan, and occasionally voicing opinions on uncriticizing certain allocations. While Richard knew their comments came from a place of care, he couldn't shake the sense of an invisible pressure. Conversations with his sons grew heavier, losing the easygoing nature they once had. What pained Richard the most was how their discussions, once filled with shared interests, family memories, and laughter, now often veered into financial matters. He realized that by sharing his asset plans, he had unintentionally shifted the family dynamic, clouding their bond with concerns over material possessions. After much reflection, Richard decided to make a change. He kept his carefully crafted estate plans private, working with a trusted legal advisor to ensure everything was in order. Instead of involving his family in the details, he focused on creating memorable experiences with them. He took his sons on fishing trips, attended family gatherings, and shared stories from his younger days. The result was transformative. The atmosphere in the family began to shift, and his sons stopped viewing their father through the lens of financial assets and returned to cherishing him as the loving and wise man he had always been. Richard realized that keeping his plans private wasn't about secrecy. It was about protecting the family's relationships from unnecessary strain. Richard's story shows us that keeping personal asset plans private doesn't reflect a lack of trust. It's a wise and loving choice. Discussions about finances, even with good intentions, can easily redirect focus from family connections to material concerns. Sharing asset plans too early can lead to feelings of comparison or perceived unfairness within the family. One child might feel they deserve more due to their contributions, while another might feel undervalued. These unconscious tensions can damage the relationships you've spent a lifetime nurturing. By keeping asset plans private until the right time, you preserve family harmony and allow yourself the flexibility to make adjustments without external pressure. It ensures that every decision reflects your true values and wishes, rather than the expectations of others. Most importantly, maintaining privacy allows you to focus on what truly matters: love and connection. Instead of dwelling on financial details, you can spend your time creating cherished memories, sharing valuable life lessons, and leaving behind a legacy of meaning. Not just in terms of wealth, but in the love and values you pass on. When you leave this world, It won't be the figures in your will that your family remembers most. It will be the loving moments, the wisdom you shared, and the values you lived by. Keeping asset plans private not only safeguards family relationships, but also allows you to build a lasting legacy. A legacy of love, respect, and deep connection. Remember, assets may fade, but the values you instill in your family will endure forever. That is the most important legacy you can leave. Secret 5. Disappointment or frustration with family. When we look at our families, love often comes hand in hand with expectations. We hope our children and grandchildren will achieve great things, follow the paths we believe to be right, safe, and promising. But life doesn't always align with our hopes. There are times when we feel disappointed, when a loved one doesn't choose the path we envision or makes decisions that cause us concern. By becoming faced with life's failures, we recognize our own worthiness, our own intelligence, our own life, and begin to come to understand it. Consider the story of Rose, a devoted mother of 3. She worked tirelessly throughout her life, saving every penny to ensure her children had access to education and the opportunity for stable, secure lives. However, her youngest daughter, Emily, chose a path Rose never anticipated, leaving a stable job to pursue her passion for art. Rose, who saw stability as the foundation of happiness, couldn't hide her disappointment. During a family conversation, she gently advised Emily to reconsider, emphasizing that a career in the arts could be precarious and lead to financial challenges down the road. But Emily simply smiled, assuring her mother that she felt happy and fulfilled with her decision. Though Emily's response was optimistic, Rose couldn't stop worrying. Sleepless nights followed as she questioned whether her daughter was making a grave mistake. Yet, in her quiet moments of reflection, Rose realized that her disappointment didn't stem entirely from love, but also from the expectations she had unconsciously placed on Emily. Rose decided to change her approach. She stopped offering unsolicited advice and instead chose to listen. In subsequent conversations, she asked Emily about her projects, the small joys in her work, and her creative journey. Rose began to see Emily not through the lens of her own expectations, but as an independent person, living a life true to her own values and dreams. The result was transformative. When Rose stopped expressing her disappointment, her relationship with Emily grew closer. Emily, feeling her mother's acceptance and trust, began to share more openly about both her struggles and her triumphs. Rose realized that love doesn't always mean guiding or controlling. Sometimes it means offering silent respect for another's journey. Rose's story teaches us a vital lesson. Disappointment in family often stems from the personal expectations we place on them. But everyone has their own path and their own way of finding meaning in life. Expressing dissatisfaction, even gently, can create pressure and make loved ones feel as though they aren't fully accepted. You might think your advice or criticism comes from love, but to the listener, it may feel like judgment or a suggestion that they aren't good enough. Over time, these feelings can create distance, making your loved ones hesitant to share important parts of their lives with you. When you choose silence over criticism, you send a powerful message. I trust you. I love you, no matter what path you choose. That trust strengthens family bonds and allows your loved ones to confidently pursue the life they believe is right for them. You may wonder, does staying silent mean abandoning your role as a parent or elder in the family? The answer is no. Silence doesn't mean indifference. It's learning to love unconditionally, giving your loved ones the freedom to explore their paths without the weight of unrealistic expectations. Rose's story also reminds us that when you stop trying to change others, you free yourself from feelings of disappointment and worry. Instead of focusing on control, you can cherish the moments you share, building relationships based on trust and respect. Remember, family isn't about imposing or directing, it's about love and support. No matter the journey each member chooses. By choosing silence over disappointment, you not only preserve harmony in the family, but also leave behind a legacy of unconditional love. A legacy that will be remembered not for the words you said, but for how deeply you cared. The power of silence and the value of life. As we navigate the later chapters of life, one of the greatest lessons we can learn is not found in words, but in the power of silence. Holding back certain stories, worries, or unspoken expectations is not an act of secrecy. It is a subtle expression of love. It's how we protect our relationships, nurture respect, and create space for understanding, without needing to say a word. The secret isn't about how much you share, but in choosing what truly matters to voice. By keeping past mistakes to yourself, you preserve your self-respect and maintain the image of someone admirable in the eyes of your loved ones. When you refrain from dwelling on the minor aches of aging, you give your family the chance to see the strength and optimism you've carried all along. Unfulfilled dreams don't need to be revealed to hold meaning. They can remain private treasures, reminding you of the journey you've traveled and inspiring you to cherish the present. And as for disappointments or unmet expectations, let them drift away, making room for unconditional love, the greatest gift you can offer your family. Even personal estate plans, often thought of as something that must be shared early to provide peace of mind, are sometimes best kept private. By keeping these plans to yourself, you avoid unnecessary pressure and allow your family to focus on what truly matters: love, connection, and treasured memories. The lessons from these secrets teach us that our true legacy lies not in what we say, but in what we leave in the hearts of others. It's in how we love, how we show up, and how we honor the journeys of those we hold dear. When you choose silence in the right moments, you leave a powerful message of love, freedom, and respect. Always remember, your family doesn't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be genuine and full of love. If you find these lessons meaningful, continue this journey with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss inspiring content about love, life, and building strong, meaningful relationships. Your support not only motivates us, but also helps spread these positive values to even more people. Thank you for being here and for sharing this moment with us. Make the most of every second to show your love and leave a beautiful, lasting impression on the hearts of your loved ones. See you in the next video.